So many people loved my video about my father-in-law who was faithful to one woman for 62 years. The video has over 200,000 views, has 20,000 likes on one platform, 20,000 on another, has like 50,000. People loved me talking about my father-in-law. And so I want to share with you some more of the backstory of Walter Johnson's journey and really how his example changed my life. And I think he is a role model for so many men, so many men. And so I want to share with you just some lessons I've learned from him about manhood and really about how to be faithful to one woman when it's not easy. Okay, so I jotted down some notes I'm just going to share with you. Backstory first, though. Pull him aside. I'm like, hey man, you mean to tell me you've never cheated? And he tells me the story of, like, son, look, my father was a hound dog. And I said, when I get married, I'm never going to be a hound dog because I don't want to hurt my wife in the way my father hurt my mother. And so he said, I made up my mind I wasn't going to do that. He said, now, a real man never loses the appreciation for the beauty of a flower. And I picked my flower. And I see a lot of beautiful flowers, and sometimes I want to pick other flowers, but I picked my flower. And so no, I haven't cheated. I've stayed faithful. And with my background, no man in my family had stuck around. My grandmother was the side chick to a man who had 8 children. And when his wife found out about my grandmother, the side chick, she committed suicide. And so those children hated my grandmother. And my father was the product of that extramarital affair. And my father wasn't really around in my life. I saw him, I met him when I was 5, spent like a few months with him. I saw him maybe 5, 6 times over those 3 months. Then he disappeared again, went to prison, whatever. I don't know what happened. And I didn't hear from him again until I was a freshman in college. And so he wasn't around. All of my aunts and my cousins, their fathers cheated or left. None of the men were around in my family. And so in my brain, subconsciously, I didn't believe it was possible for one man to stay faithful to one woman. I just didn't think it was possible. And so when I met Walter Johnson, I asked him, I'm like, you mean to tell me you never cheated? And he said, no, I've never cheated. Just in that moment, man, like, I believed him. Now I need to say this. A lot of men had told me they'd never cheated, but they had this little something in their eyes that, I can read body language, and something about them just didn't feel honest to me. And so I didn't believe him. I didn't believe man could stay faithful, but there was something about the way Walter Johnson spoke and lived and talked that made me believe him, And like his story, his success held me accountable. And in my brain, I just subconsciously believed that if this man could do it, then I can too. If this man could be faithful this long, then I can do it too. I can be that kind of man too, because I feel like he gave me a glimpse of my own possibilities. And so his success holds me accountable. Because he's done it, I can no longer say it's not possible because this man did it. And so he altered my belief system about what was possible for men. Now, theoretically, I guess I believed it was possible, but in my heart, I really didn't believe that a man could stay faithful. And so he was honest with me, even about his temptations and some of his struggles. But the fact that this man had made it 62 years inspired me, and that is what convinced me to propose, gave me the confidence to propose to Alice, his daughter, because I didn't want to break her heart. I loved her, my best friend, but I just didn't know like how to be a good husband and what that looked like, or a dad. And so first I learned that it's possible for you to be a faithful man. It's possible for you to be faithful to one woman. I also learned from him early on in my marriage. I'm like, what are some tips? What are some secrets to making it, 62 years? And they both said, you got to work. So what do you mean? He said, both of you need to be working. Now, you don't need to necessarily have jobs outside the home, but you both need to be working. So if the man is working on a job outside the home, then the woman needs to be working in the home, cooking meals, washing clothes, taking care of the home, making sure the kids are taken care of. But both people need to be working, because if one person is not working, then the other person starts feeling resentful that they're carrying all the weight, that they're doing all the work. And that was a big lesson for us. Another big lesson I learned from Walter Johnson, and he said to us, he said, go as much as you can together, because it doesn't give the devil a chance to get between you guys. So rich in wisdom, his just sagely wisdom. Like, that was so profound. He said, you go do as much as you can together. Do as much as you can together, because the more you're together, the less of an opportunity the devil will have to get between you and your wife. The less opportunity there will be for you to be tempted or be pulled away. Do as much as you can together. And so when I decided to start my speaking business, I made up my mind that if I had to be away from home longer than 2 or 3 days, I think it was 3 days, then I'm taking my family with me. And eventually it just got to a point where I said, I just want to homeschool my kids and keep my wife and kids with me all the time. Why did I do that? There were times when I was tempted on the road. I finished a speaking engagement. It was in Chicago. It was late one night. And after the engagement, I was walking out of the big ballroom, and there was a woman coming down the stairs. And I had just purchased a bouquet of roses for my wife, 11 roses for my wife, and to take home to my wife. This beautiful woman comes down the stairs and she says, are those for me? And man, I started flirting with this woman, and I'm like, I started to see my own limitations and my own temptations and my own weaknesses. And so I said, and so short of it is, I shut that down quick. I said, man, let me go home. Let me stop playing. I'm over here saying stuff to this woman I should not be saying. And I went home, gave my wife the flowers and told her what happened. And I'm like, Alice, I want you guys to travel with me. I feel like I want us to be together. I want my children to see the world, and I want us to homeschool them, world school them. And us being together on the road prevented me from being tempted, prevented me from being pulled, or her from being pulled in another direction. Like, we were equally yoked, heading in the same direction, working together. I got that from Walter and Eva Johnson, and that has been like incredibly helpful for us. We've just spent so much time together. We work together. We live together. We work through problems together. We've grown our business together. She has been my business manager. So like, we've just worked together as partners in marriage and partners in entrepreneurship, partners in homeschooling, partners in everything we do. And it has created such a bond. I got that from Walter and Eva Johnson. Another lesson that I learned is faithfulness is a choice. So the Bible says that we should present ourselves to God as a living sacrifice. Living sacrifice. Sacrifice is something that's dead. You kill it, it's on the altar. But a living sacrifice is a sacrifice that you sacrifice it, but it's still alive. So it still has the ability to crawl up off the altar. And so to be a living sacrifice means you have to willingly keep laying yourself down at the altar whenever you don't feel like it. Like, I'm still choosing this despite the discomfort, despite the pain, despite how much it hurts. I still say yes to God. And I've learned in the same way from Walter and Eva Johnson that marriage is not just about saying I do one time on your wedding day, but it's about saying I do every day. I do love you. I do commit to you. Even when I want to say I don't, I still say I do. It's a daily choice. It's not just falling in love one time, but it's choosing your partner every day, choosing your spouse every day, choosing your spouse even when you don't feel like choosing your spouse, deciding that this is my person and I'm going to work through this. It's actually another lesson. It's another lesson I learned, that your relationship and your commitment is bigger than your problems. Whatever problems you may have, don't ever allow those problems to become bigger than your commitment and your covenant to one another. Walter and Eva Johnson modeled that for me and for my wife. And it was beautiful to see them be on one accord. Dad Johnson said sometimes, he said, you know, the Bible says that in marriage, two become one. He said, it's been 62 years. I'm still trying to figure that out. He said, because sometimes I want to do this and she want to do that, but somehow we still working to become one. And he was honest. He said, he said, you know, you stand at the altar, he said, and you say I do, but sometimes you be wanting to say I don't. And marriage is saying I do again and again and again. Okay, there are many more lessons I learned from Walter and Eva Johnson, but these are just some, and I just wanted to share them with you. When I married into this family, I became a participant observer of something beautiful. People who are from where I'm from, who in Long Beach, California, none of us knew our fathers. None of our fathers were in the home. And I can count on one hand, really, how many friends I've had in my life who had fathers in their lives, fathers in their homes. And even the ones who were in the home sometimes weren't even present. But that's another story. And so many people who experienced the Johnson family were just blessed and blown away by what Walter and Eva Johnson created through their faithfulness, through their love. And I'm the recipient, I'm the beneficiary of their love. They entrusted their baby daughter to me, and through her, I have learned so much about marriage and about life. Another lesson I've learned, actually, it flows from this, is you should marry someone who comes from a healthy home. Marry someone who comes from a two-parent home, so that you are marrying into a situation, ideally a healthy two-parent home, a young lady who's loved by her father and her mother. She won't have daddy issues. I had so many deficiencies within me, because I didn't know what it meant to be a man, didn't know what it meant to be a father, and I had very toxic examples and ideas about what it means to be a man, and I've had to unlearn so many things. And being married to someone with a healthy background has helped me see that my normal was not her normal, and my cultural universe was not culturally universal. And man, I married into a situation, and so I could compare my examples and my references to hers and realize, like, man, that wasn't healthy. What I went through wasn't healthy. This belief system wasn't healthy. I got to tell you a story about something I did in 8th grade, which was so bad, but at the time it didn't seem bad. I had all these naked women posters on my wall. I got to tell you that story, but in my brain, I didn't even see what was wrong with that, and anyways. I married into a healthy family and got to see what a healthy relationship looks like. And a loving, faithful marriage produces flourishing. All 6 of the Johnson children are remarkable. They're well raised, they're kind, and even in their struggles, they're beautiful, amazing people, man. And I've been blessed to just be able to see that. And so these are just some lessons I've learned. If this blessed you, please like, subscribe, comment, ask any questions, and I'll try to follow up when I can. But I'm your friend, Dr. Manny Scott, and I'm just grateful you're here. I'm grateful this community is growing, and I'm really enjoying creating this content for you. I'm really enjoying getting to know some of you and learning from you. All right, until my next video, thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.